Hello ladies and gentlemen, PvPSkillz here. Today I present to you the top 10 weapons in Dark Souls 2. After extensive research, asking a lot of expert opinion, and having experience after 1000 hours of gameplay, this list is dedicated for all Dark Souls 2 players, beginner or veteran. This will help you out to choose what weapon you need or want in your game with strategies that you can implement. Also, I have a previous top 6 weapons which I will put the link in the description. So without further ado, let's start. Number 10. MASTADON Halberd. Sometimes all you need in Dark Souls 2 is pure strength, pure raw power, just to 3-shot your opponent. This weapon has lots going for it in terms of damage. This weapon has the sweet spot system, so if you want the full damage, you have to get the attacks from the end of the edge of the weapon so you can get full damage, and you just might slice your opponents with this weapon. It's extremely strong and it's only a strength weapon, so you don't need a lot of investments to get the attack rating. Also, it's much favored to play with this weapon uninfused since it has very high strength scaling, and adding Ring of Blades +2 just makes this a monster. However, every weapon has also its weaknesses. This weapon doesn't have a very good moveset. You have to play tactically and defensively. Playing aggressive will just get you killed. The thing is, you want to try to get the hits on your opponent, and being tactical and defensive is the way to go. And it also has another problem. The two-handed R1 is not a guaranteed 2-hit, so if you get the first light attack, you might not connect to the second. Your opponent might roll out. However, the one-handed R1 attack or light attack, you can get a 2-hit combo, so try aiming for doing that. And it has a thrust attack, so if it was a counter, you just obliterate your enemy right there on the spot. And of course, it has the spin to win, which is the running two-handed R1, which is a spinning attack. When you run, it's 3 hits, so if you get the first one and your enemy didn't dodge, well, you maybe eat him in pasta at the night, because it just slices people up, and I really get surprised every time I get hit with it. But as I said, also it has a very nice one-handed R2s, which also you can get guaranteed 2 hits if you get the first one. But this moveset it's for only the skilled and the patient and the predictive, like people who can predict their opponents. And an alternative, healthy alternative, is the Saint's Halberd, which I personally like more. But this one, you just can't take it off the list. This weapon is just pure power, raw power. And some people love this. And I recommend also you try using this weapon with an offhand weapon, a fast weapon, especially to finish off your enemy, since it's hard to hit people. And this weapon it has to make it to my list. So yeah, this is the MASTADON Halberd. Let's go to the next weapon. Number 9. Blue Flame. This weapon has loads going for it. It's one quirky bastard, that's for sure. This weapon acts as a staff, so strong attacks, you can cast sorceries. What do you want better than that? Cast sorceries with a weapon. So this is one way of being a sorcerer hybrid build. And also, one of the best things about this weapon is when you buff it with crystal magic weapon, which you get from the dragon shrine, you actually buff the spell damage considerably, making it the best staff in the game, or almost as good as the Staff of Wisdom, which is the best staff in the game. So this is a weapon and a best staff at the same time. Another thing, this weapon, if you're below 50 intelligence, the way to go is to infuse it with raw path. You can do insane damage. It's the best sorcery staff in low soul level if you have low intelligence, since you can buff it with crystal magic weapon. And in the raw, actually when infusing it with raw, the only way to surpass its damage is to go over 50 intelligence and infuse your weapon with magic. And still after doing this, the raw one will still do more damage melee wise, not spell wise. So if you want to go for spells, you will use the magic path and go 50 intelligence, but raw is still very viable. The difference is very negligible almost. But yeah, so always use it raw if you're below 50, and buff it, and over 50 buff it, or sorry, infuse it with magic. When you infuse this with magic and crystal magic weapon, you have a complete hybrid sorcerer build, which is beautiful. So much fun. You can do a lot of creative things, comboing attacks with spells, which force your opponent to dodge and always guess what you're gonna do next, so you can be very unpredictable. Also, this weapon is very good as a weapon actually, and it has in two-handed, it's a very good sword. But also when you two-handed, the spells, you will use more stamina consumption when you use them, so try to use it one-handed on your right hand. So also the raw one, you can buff it actually with that magic resin. What is it called? Aromatic ooze. So you don't each actually need crystal magic weapon, and you still have optimal sorcery staff. And the cast speed is actually quite good compared to other like it's average, but with all, you know, using all the stuff like the clear bluestone and using the clothes that I'm using right here, the armor, you'll have very fast cast speed. And just lovely. Being a hybrid sorcerer is just one of the funnest builds. Just so much fun. And it's also another thing. It's also one of the only ways that you can buff two weapons with crystal magic weapon or all the other sorcery buffs. So if you hold two weapons, for example, you're holding your blue flame on your right hand, and another, for example, let's say a rapier, magic rapier that infused with magic, you can put a staff on your left hand and buff your sword with the staff, and then change your staff to a weapon and buff it with the blue flame, which is beautiful. It looks badass. Imagine having two infused weapons, using them at the same time. Also, there's another quirk. If you want to use two of these weapons, so you want to have a blue flame on your right and on your left, there's actually a glitch, which if you buff your right hand and then buff your left hand won't get any damage extra, which I don't know what's the reason. It's a glitch, and there's many ways to redeem it. One of the ways is you can use the buff twice, so buff your left hand twice, or use a magic resin on your left weapon, then buff it, and you will get the full buff. Moreover, you can actually also enhance the damage and make it much better by using the Sorcerer Clutch Ring, which you get from the Iron King DLC, which increases your magic damage, which in turn also increases your spell damage, which is a must. You know, if you're gonna use it, go get that ring to make it much more optimal. And another thing going for this weapon, which make it much better than other staff, especially in PvP, is that the point where the spell goes from your weapon goes from the low point. So sometimes when you're using a staff, it goes from a high point, so sometimes they can just roll under the spell. This one actually has a low one, so they can't do that. So even if they roll towards you and close to you, you can still hit them, for example, with the Crystal Soul Spear. So it has this is a big advantage. Don't underestimate this advantage. So I advise every sorcerer to have this weapon. And you get this weapon, by the way, from the Undead Crypt, and it's easy to farm, very easy. And if you invade, you can actually find them in the host world all around. So it's very easy to farm, but it needs Twinkling Tetanite to upgrade, which is quite a hassle. But yes, and there's also another weapon that is a bit similar, but no, I don't like it as much, which is the Pilgrim's Platoon, which you get also from the second DLC, the Old Iron King, which you can use also use a weapon as a staff. And one more thing also, this weapon actually has a counter damage of 110, which no other staff has. Only the Pilgrim's Platoon has that, but staffs only have 100 counter damage. So if you get someone as a counter, you won't get extra damage from a sorcerer, from a staff. However, using this weapon, like here, he was hitting with his weapon. When he gets hit, he'll take 10% more damage because it has a good counter damage. Number 8, SANTIER'S Spear. Well, in case if you've been living under a rock or you're a new player, this weapon is you acquire it from the Pharaoh's area, and it has a very quirky thing. The only weapon actually is if you break this weapon, you will actually get the proper Santier's spear, and it has 500 durability, so breaking this weapon might be a challenge. The easiest way is to join the Rat's Covenant either from the Pharaoh's area or from Grave of Saints, and then go back to that Pharaoh's area, and the enemies over there become non-hostile. They won't be aggressive even if you hit them. And you one-hand your weapon and you press R2 until it breaks. This is the easiest way. Do that on the elephant enemy, the Mastodon enemy. This is the easiest way. So we put that out of the way. This weapon is I want to call it the most versatile weapon in the game. Sometimes versatility beats specialized builds. This weapon has movesets across all the board from other weapons. It has the running attack of a curved sword, a two-handed R1 of a twin blade, and the list goes on. And it has halberd and many weapons. And with the large hitbox, this weapon is very good. This weapon was the best weapon in the game before when you did it mundane, but it was nerfed more than once. It was nerfed reasonably, to say the truth. It was super strong. But if the best way to make use of this weapon is to infuse it with raw, since this weapon has no scaling. No scaling means stats won't affect the weapon, only upgrades affect the weapon. And when you get it raw, you get the most physical damage out of it. Now, to make it very strong and superior, the best way is to be a Flynn build, which the Flynn build means you get the ring, which is called Flynn's ring from the first DLC, which increases your attack rating if you have low vitality. So with the Ring of Blades +2 and Flynn ring, you have 100 damage extra on this badass, and it will be a very strong weapon. And it has a poise break of 35, which is insane for a fast weapon. But watch out, you might get parried easily, especially if you're using the light attacks two-handed. Also, when this weapon breaks, it just stays broken forever and you'll have infinite durability, which means it's the best weapon to do a no bonfire, no death run, since it doesn't break. And especially if you're not gonna rest in a bonfire, you're gonna need a lot of repair powder, which this weapon it will never let you down in that aspect, which is super great. Also, using Stone Ring on this weapon will stun your enemies. You'll make them dance and bands. I'm not joking, they will get stunned every freaking hit. And my favorite attack in this weapon is the running R1 attack, one-handed. It's the same as the curved swords. I don't know, for some reason it hits like it's very weird. You can hit your enemy before even seeing you, and that's also true for curved swords. So with this length of a weapon is just beastly. Furthermore, this weapon has the spin to win attack, two-handed R1 attack, running R1, which just destroys your enemies, same as the Mastadon halberd. And it has all the movesets, so it's a very versatile weapon, and it's actually unlike any other weapon, so it makes it very unique. And the best thing about this weapon is you can use it low level easily, since when you infuse it raw, that means you don't need no dex, no strength. You just need the exact requirements of the weapon, which are 20 strength and 22 dexterity, and you can just dump all the other stats on endurance and vigor for health, and maybe you want to go faith also, or sorcery, whatever. It gives you a lot of options. This weapon just makes you very versatile, and I really feel bad that I don't see as much after getting nerfed. Because usually people, like best weapons, and it was a best weapon, and now some people consider it's not a good weapon, but it's still a super duper weapon. And yeah, we're done with this weapon, so let's go to the next one. Number 7, Majestic Greatsword. This weapon is exquisite, and it's strong as it is exquisite. So this weapon is supposed to be Artorias' sword from Dark Souls 1, which is one of my favorite bosses and story-wise in the whole Souls series. Let's start by saying that this weapon can be found in the second DLC, the Iron King DLC. Using it left-handed gives you much more attack rating. That means you have to change your whole style. It also has 130 counter damage, which is highest than any other weapon in its class. And it has a very unique moveset, You can use the L2 when it's left-handed to do a special attack, and an R2 also to do another special attack. And damn, it's awesome. When you use it, you're just badass. That's it. And if you dual wield this weapon with another weapon, you also get more special attacks with the L2 while dual wielding, which is like a spin in the air, which is just plain hilarious and looks super good. And its L2 is this one just right here, is one of the best for wake up attacks. When I mean wake up attacks is when after you backstab or riposte an opponent, when they fall down, when they get up, when you do L2, it's just very hard to escape. And this weapon you have to use it yourself to judge, but this weapon is just so good. The only problem is using it left-handed, so parries are quite a bit weird. Other than that, it's just a super duper weapon, very classy, exquisite, and I recommend that you use it as soon as possible. But the biggest problem it has very large stat investment, and it weighs a bit more than other great swords, or almost the same. Anyways, we're done with this weapon. Let's move to the next one. Number 6, Grand Lance. The weapon that you can 3-shot people with. Let's start by saying this. This weapon needs 22 strength and 18 dexterity to wield, and has C scaling in dex and strength, which means it's a quality weapon, which means the higher you go with these stats, the much more damage you'll get. This weapon is a beast, This weapon is made to counter people with 160 counter damage, the highest in the game. You just obliterate people on counters. So this weapon is made to counter your enemy, which means you try to aim to hitting your enemy while he's doing something, like attacking or anything similar, like doing an action, and you'll get way more extra damage. Leo Ring is super recommended. It will make this weapon just a freaking, I don't know what to say. This weapon it has to be in this list. This weapon is just, I don't know why not many people use it, but it has super good tracking, super high damage. Riposte and guard breaks and backstabs are very strong, and the tracking is just stupid. Look at this. Running attacks and all the attacks are just so strong. And as I said, you want to try to counter your opponent so you can get the full damage of the weapon. The biggest problem of this weapon that it has, it weighs a bit high, which is 12. Actually, it's not that high. But, oh man. Anyways, also this weapon is very good to infuse. But I recommend that you infuse it with dark, since you have other 2 lances that have built-in lightning damage, which is the Heidi Grand Lance or Grand Heidi Lance. And this one has built-in lightning, so if you want, if you're a faith build, you should get that one. You'll get it from the Heidi Knight after Shrine of Winter, and it actually is a random drop, not a guaranteed one. So every time he dies and you don't get it, you have to upper the bonfire intensity of the bonfire in the one before it, which is between the Shaded Ruins and Shrine of Winter. And if you want to go sorcerer, if you want to do intelligence build, the best one is to take the one from the 3rd DLC, the Rampant Golem Lance, which actually I have a build for it in my other videos. So it's called Super Killer build. You should check that out because it's as good as the Grand Lance. But the Grand Lance is the best lance in my opinion in this game. The damage is just unbeatable. Tracking, as I said, crazy good. But there's one big problem with this weapon, is if you are very aggressive, you will get backstabbed over and over again. So you have to calculate and plan ahead of time how you're gonna tackle your opponent. And there's like no counter to this weapon other than backstabs. So great sword users will just get, or heavy weapons will just get obliterated with this weapon, because if they do one thing wrong and you attack them while they doing that thing, they will just cry after that, because it's very normal just to take out half of their health, you know. So yeah, and so if since it's very hard, it's very easy to get backstabbed, I recommend that you use a backstab protection gear, so like a Jester armor or a Gower ring, so you don't get backstabs as often. and actually it's easy also to get parried since the hitbox lingers a lot, so it's very easy to parry. So try to be unpredictable as much as possible. This weapon rewards countering and being like, you always have to plan according to what your opponent is doing, because if he's gonna spam the R1 or R2, you're gonna die. But in turn, you have huge damage, one of the best countering weapons in the game. So all this combination, it's one of the best weapons in the game. So we're done with this weapon, let's go to the next one. Number 5, Loyce GREATSWORD, one of the most classy weapons in the game. This weapon can be acquired from the 3rd DLC. Going through one of the shittiest area in the game, you will get this weapon after that. And this is the classiest weapon in my opinion. When I see someone carrying this weapon, I just have huge respect for him. This weapon has a unique moveset on the in the greatsword category that no other greatsword has. So it has one of, in my opinion, the best moveset out of all of them. I have actually a review for this weapon, which I'm gonna put in the description if you want to check it out. There will be more detail about this weapon. But this weapon boasts a very, very good moveset. One of the best in the game, definitely. Damage is very high. You can get 500 damage easily. And especially with the Flynn ring, this is just bossing. And the only thing that makes this weapon a bit different from other weapons, because you can't have everything in a weapon. It has 110 counts of strength, and usually all other greatswords had 120, but this is not a big deal. This weapon has thrusting attacks like no other greatsword. It has very fast moveset. The two-handed one is a bit delayed, which is beautiful. That means anyone who rolls early will get hits from the hitbox. And the whole moveset is just beautiful. The rolling R1, everything. Maybe the most weakest thing it has is the one-handed R2. Strong attack, one-handed, but it's still useful in many situations. And since this weapon has a lot of thrusting attacks, it is recommended to use a Leer ring, which will enhance a lot your damage. And this weapon also doesn't stun as much as other greatswords, so Stone Ring is also recommended. A good alternative to this weapon will be the Ruler's Greatsword, which boasts a higher damage, but with much weaker moveset and shorter reach. So all in all, I prefer this greatsword over other greatswords. And yeah, we're done with this weapon. Let's move to the next one. Number 4, Ivory King Ultra Greatsword, Zweihander's older brother. This is one of the best Ultra Greatswords in the game, that's for sure. You get this weapon from the 3rd DLC, and it has very high requirements to use. You need 30 dexterity and 30 strength to use this weapon, and it actually has B scaling in dexterity and strength. So this weapon is very good if you have high stats in strength and dexterity. And actually, this weapon, when you're two-handing it, you can see that magic thing, a blue thing that comes out. This actually also does extra damage that is not mentioned in the description. So the damage, which is almost 550, is not the only damage that you get from this weapon. You also get that magic damage from the blue thing. So your target is to get both of these. Sometimes when your enemy is out of range, they can actually get hit by that blue thing without taking the physical damage, and you can see that many times in the video. So they take the hit like 200 damage because just the blue thing, because it extends more than the sword. And overall, Zweihander and this weapon, they're lighter usually than other ultra great swords by a large margin, by the way. And it has the best moveset, I think, because the two-handed and the one-handed are horizontal attacks, which are always superior in Souls games, because you want to cover as much area in front of you as possible. So it's much better than vertical attacks that other ultra great swords has. So and the blue thing just looks amazing when especially when you get people. And this weapon has like most other weapons, a guaranteed 2 hits. So if you get the first one, you get the second one, which will cut your enemies into pieces if you get both. And it has a 130 counter damage, which is very good, by the way. So if you get the R2, which is a thrusting attack, as a counter on your enemy, yeah, you might just as well one-shot them. Also, that blue thing, the magic, is only comes out when you're two-handing the weapon. So remember that when you're one-handing it, you're not using that blue thing. And also when you two-hand it, you're using more durability every attack. Actually, a lot of durability. So you have to watch out and have repair powder in case. And actually, this weapon also has bleed, which is very weird and one of the highest in the game. Although it's a very slow weapon because bleed favors quick weapons, it's very good with a bleed build if you know how to make it work. Anyways, this is the end of this weapon. Let's go to the next one. Number 3, Fume Sword. The sword that you get from the statistically hardest boss in the game. Straight swords in this game are 100% one of the best classes in PvP. Maybe not in PvP, maybe not in PvE, but definitely in PvP they can be actually overpowered. I really believe this. I believe that straight swords are overpowered and they're on par with katanas. First of all, this weapon, it's a dex dark build, so you can use it as a dex build or a dark one, doesn't matter. And there's two ways to make it as optimum as possible. The first way is to go physical damage, which go dex build, and then use a dark resin on your weapon to increase the dark damage, which is crazy that you can do that, by the way, that you can use the resin on this weapon. And using Ring of Blade +2 and Flynn Ring, and even if you want to make it super crazy, you can add the Dark Clutch Ring, which also increases your dark damage. And when you put that resin, it becomes also stronger. So it becomes stupidly strong with this very fast weapon. And it has also the longest reach of any straight sword in the game. So this is the longest sword of any straight sword in the game, which is enough to say. And it also bolsters the same moveset as the Puzzling Straight Sword and the Foot Soldier Straight Sword and the Ashen Warrior Sword, which have many thrusting attacks. So the two-handed running attack is just crazy powerful, because it's a thrust and it has a lingering hitbox, so you can catch people through rolls like nothing. And rolling, by the way, people rolling beside you and using this weapon, it would be very hard for them not to get hit. It's very easy to hit people in close proximity. It's a very dangerous weapon, and I really believe that it's overpowered. And other straight swords also, if you want to make them as optimum as possible, because they're very fast and they do extreme damage when you do a build around it. As I said, and now also you can go dark with this weapon, make it dark, and use the dark sorcerer clutch, dark clutch ring, and then infuse it with dark weapon or resonant weapon, and you know, become a melee hybrid dark build. But with the longest reach and one of the best movesets with a straight sword, and also getting it from the hardest boss, it's just, this weapon is very powerful, like, I don't know what they're thinking when they put a very fast weapon with this strength. And to counter this weapon, I find is the easiest way is to have a high stability shield, because you don't want to be rolling around this weapon. Any wrong roll, you will get punished severely with all its attacks, and very fast and low stamina consumption, so you can spam R1 as much as you want. And yeah, the best alternative to this weapon, of course, is the Sun Sword, which I covered in my other top 6 weapons. And by the way, I'm not gonna mention any weapon from that video, so if you wanna watch that video, it'll be linked in the description. And actually the weapons are still relevant as they are now, but I wanted to make this list more interesting, so I didn't want to repeat any weapon from that list. But back to this sword, as I said, long reach, can be buffed, very fast, thrusting attacks, weighs almost nothing. It weighs, let me check, how much does it weigh? It weighs around, let me see. It weighs only 3 units. You know what that means? Just 3 units. That means you can use this as a backup weapon if you want. But as I said, I think this weapon is, and some other weapons like it, they are overpowered. Not just very powerful, they're overpowered. And I actually think they have to be nerfed in some way, especially their hitbox. And yeah, so this is the end of this weapon. Let's go to the next one. Number 2, Red Iron TWINBLADE. Hands down the best PvE weapon in the game. I can't be more crystal clear than that. this weapon just slices things up. First of all, this weapon was super weak back in the day, and then From Software they decided to make it much stronger, actually strong to a point that it's just much stronger than any weapon in its class. For this weapon is a strength weapon, and it needs 26 strength to wield and 20 dexterity, but it has the only scaling A in strength, so no scaling on dex. So this is a strength weapon, which means you don't need a lot of stat investment to have a lot of damage. Second of all, this weapon has multiple attacks which have very high poise damage. That means you can stun your opponents very easily, and usually people put the stone ring so they will stun you every hit. So if they get you the first hit, the second hit, because it's multiple attacks, will just cut you into pieces. I'm not joking, literally it'll just kill you straight, like take 3/4 of your damage. And it has the highest backstab, riposte and guard break damage of any twin blade in the game. This weapon is just stupidly strong, and in PvP it can be countered in many ways. It can be outranged, like from a spear or a scythe or a grand lance, and it can be punished, but if you do one mistake, you're gonna regret it. That's a problem with this weapon. It just obliterates everything. The one-handed R1, if you get the first one and then you get the second R1, some people will die. I'm not joking. Instantly from full HP. It's that strong. So I don't think there's any alternative to this weapon. Maybe the stone twin blade in its class. But other than that, there's no other reason to use other twin blades other than this one. Because this one, especially in PvE, and actually many people use it. So I'm gonna assume that you know this about this by now, because I've seen it a lot. And PvE, the bosses become so much easier. So, and it's not, you can get it early in game. So many people go with this weapon as fast as possible, and it works PvE and PvP very good. Like there's no weakness with this weapon. It can be parried, yeah, by the way, it can be parried, but if you miss that parry, well, good luck. I really wish the best luck for you, because this weapon, when you see this weapon, don't fuck around. That's simple. This weapon, when you see it, you have to respect it and treat it accordingly, and play defensively and try to counter every hit they do, because this weapon can stun you and kill you very fast. Anyways, this is the end of this weapon. Let's go to the next section. So there's so many weapons in this game that I just can't put them all in just top 10. So I have to put honorable mentions. So the first one here is the old whip, which is one of the strongest whips in the game. It is the strongest whip in the game. And the dual wielding 2 old whips is one of the strongest setups in the game, especially if they infuse dark. The tracking is just stupid. Also, alternative will be a notched whip, dual wield for one of the best bleed builds, or use 2 spotted whips to have the fastest poison weapons in the game. This weapon, actually, they got nerfed. Their tracking got nerfed recently, which is very good, because this weapon was just so hard to play against, and it can't be parried. So this is a very good thing, by the way. Now there's so many people that are good at parrying that if you hate getting parried, just use this weapon. And I'm using it here only one-handed, but if you two-handed, it's just, dual wield 2 of these, just try it out and you'll see. It'll just obliterate everyone, destroy him, and catch people off rolls. But also it can be countered easily by a shield, so don't forget about that. Have high stability shield. Now, next weapon is the dragon weapon here, which you get from the memory from the spider. It's called the curved dragon greatsword, and it's same as the mastodon. This is raw power with a very bad hitbox, but it's one of the highest damage weapons in the game, and it has also one of the highest riposte, the guard break, and backstab damage in the game. The weapon after this one is the Fume Ultra Greatsword. This one would have taken the place instead of Ivory Ultra Greatsword, but this one doesn't have any horizontal attacks from its first attack. It has a horizontal attack from its second one, but doesn't have the horizontal thing, so I couldn't put it. But still, it is one of the best strength weapons in the game, but it weighs a ton. But it's super good. It has very quirky stuff like blocking and attacking at the same time, like no other weapon has this. property, and I actually have a review for this weapon, so I leave the link in the description. But yeah, also this weapon, you have to master it to actually use it very well, because you can get backstabbed easily if you don't know what you're doing. And it has very long reach, which is always good in this game. I always stress that range is sometimes more important than damage. So yeah, and the rolling one-hand R1 is just so good, the same as the greatsword. Very good weapon overall. I recommend you use it. And yeah, let's see the next weapon. The Hunter Black Bow, of course, the best bow in the game in my opinion. Has the highest fire rate, which is the most important thing, by the way, when you want to use a bow. And any guy who has melee should have a bow, because you can counter a lot of magic users. Also, as for a dagger, the Flamestone dagger is a very good weapon with Stone Ring. If you don't use Stone Ring, it just becomes a different weapon. But with Stone Ring, you just stun people. Look at this Havel guy. Stunned, even with all that poise, he's still stunned with a dagger. Anyways, next weapon is the Gurm Great Axe, which not many people use. I wanted to put this also instead of the Ivory Ultra Great Sword, because this is one of the best strength weapons in the game. But why did I didn't put this weapon? Because this weapon is very hard to use, and it needs skill and predicting and baiting and all that, but it has one of the highest damages in the game. Look, I'm playing naked and I barely lost with it, because every time you hit opponent they just get obliterated. And it has the one-hand R1 is the same as the greatsword, by the way, but 10% faster, so that's super good. It doesn't have that good reach, but this weapon should be respected and you should try it out, guys. And the strong attacks in one-handed and two-handed are unparryable. So if you see a parry spammer, just hit him with that R2 and see his health go more than half below his HP. Because this weapon is raw power, as same as the Dragon Curved Sword and the Mastodon Greatsword, but has different style, as you can see. And some guy commented about this weapon. I tried it before, but when I played it extensively, I found out that this weapon is no joke. And it was actually nerfed recently, because it had 3-hit combo. Imagine. I don't know what they were thinking. It's good now they took it out. Now it has a 2-hit combo, which not many ultra great swords and heavy weapons has. So if you get the first R1, you can get the second R1. So yeah, thank this weapon for hitting more than 1000 damage. Also, the Ilium Loyce, which you get also from the DLC, has its quirks and is very good. And Warp Sword is it's the best curved sword, but I didn't have footage to put it, so you have to also try the Warp Sword since it has the highest counter damage. Also, the Moonlight Great Sword is the only weapon that has only pure elemental weapon. It only has magic damage if you infuse it with magic, which is beautiful. But great magic weapon users, great magic barrier users can counter your weapon by using a great magic barrier, so watch out for that. Number 1, the champion of all champions, the weapon that you should fear when you see the Ice Rapier. Ice Rapier, where can I start? First of all, this weapon you find it in 3rd DLC from a random drop from a normal enemy. Don't ask me why, it should have been a boss weapon. But this weapon, if you don't know about it right now, if you don't know that it's one of the strongest weapons, you're living under a rock. And if you're new, at least now you know what this weapon is all about. First of all, this weapon is a piercing sword, so it's a thrusting sword. So it falls in the category of thrusting swords, which are made to counter people. Yeah, it's the longest one between all the rapiers or the thrusting swords, and has a long range attack, as you can see here when you press a strong attack. So this weapon doesn't just give you pure damage and good reach and stupid stun capabilities. You can also have range with this weapon, which is very good for melee users. And this weapon, it has one thing which makes it super overpowered, is that if you infuse it with magic, especially magic intelligence, you actually enhance the R2. And look, I don't have intelligence on this build, and as you can see, my weapon is infuses magic. I mean, I'm not even using crystal magic weapon. And the damage and the counter 140 damage just makes this weapon crazy strong. Hitbox that seems to go all the way through the map. You know, I'm exaggerating. And damage, just this weapon is overpowered. That's it. That's what I think. Use a stone ring to stun people because it has low poise. They thought they counter this weapon's strength by having low poise, but just two-handing it and using stone ring, just this weakness just go out of the window. And the damage you get is just super good with a 140 counter damage. Oh man, I have a video that I'm gonna link. It's called Piercing Swords Are Overpowered. Watch it so I can convince you why this weapon and weapons like itself, like the Espada Rapera or the Ricard's Rapier or even the Rapier itself, are overpowered. They're just so strong. Try dual wielding 2 of these and tell me what you think. It's the strongest combination in the game. If you have 2 of these, layering, of course, because all the attacks are thrusting attacks, and layering does boost that. Just try it and you'll know what I mean. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I really put a lot of work in this video, and you know, I love this game with passion, and I want everyone to be able to know what to do when they start beginning the game, or even if you're a veteran, to learn some new stuff. And my channel is dedicated for PvP, and if you want to get better in this game, subscribe to my channel, and I promise you that you will become better in this game. And I'm gonna try to prolong the life of this game as much as possible, since it's my favorite game right now, and I want everyone to enjoy it as much as I enjoy it. And as you know, this game has a infinitely high learning curve, so we can all learn every day, and I still learn until now, even after all the time I've played. And yeah guys, if you enjoyed the video, as I said, please subscribe and like, and for more videos, and I have many more videos planned same as this. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and don't forget that this list is subjective in the end of the day, so this is not like written in stone, so don't give me hate for that. This is my opinion and my experience. I put these weapons together. So I hope you enjoyed, guys. Thanks for watching. PvPSkillz out.